Yo, I'm Ezra the Plug, and today's video is quite a hard one to make because I'm going to be talking about the consequences of smoking weed. Yes, weed, the plant, the most innocent drug there is, can have some pretty bad side effects, and I'm going to be sharing some of my personal experiences with you guys today. And yeah, I'm high right now. Let's be honest, most of you guys watching this right now probably are too. But just being real with you, it took me years to actually admit that weed can cause me harm. And as much as it can kill you, it really can mess your life up if you don't moderate your use. In the past, I've definitely went down the rabbit hole of just having way too much weed, and it can really get a hold of you, and it's not a very nice lifestyle. With that in mind, the first thing I want to talk about is realizing when weed isn't good for you. It can be really difficult and sometimes takes having a bad experience to really kick you into gear. Weed is so normalized that it almost feels stupid saying that it might be bad for you. Like, bro, it's literally legal now. Like, my mother's had edibles in the past, but that actually makes it harder to recognize the downsides. And for years I was in full denial because weed stopped me from trying harder stuff. It was like the crutch that kept me from falling apart, so I convinced myself weed saved me, weed can't be bad. Which was very wrong, but it took me a long time to figure that out. When you're consuming weed all the time, it also helps having like a healthy lifestyle and having a relatively balanced diet. I'm definitely not perfect by any means at the moment, but like, if you just sit and eat pizza all the time and smoke weed, like, very soon you'll end up just feeling shit. It's just like full on dopamine max and that. One thing I will say right now is alternate the strains that you smoke on. Don't just smoke one thing because you'll just get bored of it really quick and your body will just get like used to it. And I actually don't smoke weed nowadays, and we'll get into that later on in this video. It's also really important to mention that weed turned me into a huge procrastinator. I always used to be so delusional when I smoked loads of weed as well. Like, I would tell myself I was being productive. I would wake up, smoke a J, sit on my laptop for a bit or maybe play some games, and then I'd be like, yeah, sorted for the day. This has been a good day. And it's just like, no, it hasn't. You've done nothing at all. You've sat and done nothing. And like, in my head I'd be like, yeah, I'm locking in big time right now. And it's like, bro, you're on Fortnite. Like, you're on Fortnite, mate. What are you doing? Weed's also one of them things that'll sneak up on you, especially if you take edibles. Like, if you got plans and then you drink a shit ton of alcohol, the implications of that are going to become pretty obvious pretty quick. Whereas with weed, you could take an edible and then a couple hours later it could hit you while you're like at work or like doing something important. So it's like, you got to kind of be careful. That's why smoking's better if you moderate your use, because you can have small amounts and it hits you instantly. For years I didn't realize how much time I was wasting because I was just constantly getting fried. There was a time when I eventually managed to slowly cut down on my weed use, and I came to realize that I was getting more work done in a couple days than I had previously been getting done in a couple weeks. It didn't even feel that challenging, and I was like, what the fuck, like, I haven't smoked any weed and I'm really productive. What's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, I've been smoking weed for ages to try and be productive, and now I'm not smoking weed and I'm being much more productive. I feel like I've wasted my money. I feel like I've been conned. Sat hitting up plugs on my phone like, yo, you've been selling me some unproductive ass weed, yeah? What's with that? This was the first time I actually realized how important it is to moderate your weed consumption. Because weed isn't physically addictive, it's rare you'll get that dramatic rock bottom moment. Instead, you forget what normal life feels like and slowly sink into old habits. Weed feels great, so great that it can almost become like an emotional crutch. It's so hard to not consume more weed because it feels like there's no downsides to it in the moment. It's that constant voice in your head that's like, this task would be better if you were to smoke before doing it. I don't mean like an actual voice in my head, by the way. There's not like an actual voice in my head saying like, yeah, you should smoke, you know. Like, I just want to specify that I was just using like a metaphor. Is that a metaphor? I don't really fucking know, to be honest. I built this mental connection where I thought if I stopped smoking, I would probably end up doing something much worse. And not because I was fiending, but because weed became the medicine that was covering up a bunch of problems that I hadn't really resolved in the past. And it stopped me from thinking about those things, you know. I got to just go about my day and live life without having to sort of deal with certain issues. And unlike other people who get sober in traditional ways like therapy or rehabilitation, I would literally just smoke more weed. That was my fix. That was literally my secret method. It was just fucking roll another joint. Like, I just didn't give a shit. So many people have so much potential, particularly people in the weed community. Like, there's so many intelligent people, and the potential just goes to waste because they just want to sit and smoke weed, and it really does make me sad. People blame a lack of motivation, but I think discipline plays a huge role in it. And just a little bit of reassurance for you is, like, I've been really bad with using loads of weed and just other things, like other things, you know what I mean? I've been really bad, and I really am a healthy person nowadays. I'm in control of all of any substance that I use. I don't even like taking paracetamol, and I'm very happy to put cannabis in my body. So if any of you are worried about starting a medical prescription, for example, like, there's nothing to be worried about, honestly. Yes, it can be nerve-wracking, but trust me, like, nothing bad can happen in terms of, like, you actually being at physical risk. Just don't go crazy and try to consume your weed in healthier ways. Don't start pulling massive buckets, because it's just not healthy for you, is it? You know what I mean? Smoking little homemade bongs with tin foil and stuff like that, that's obviously not going to be very good for you, is it? Just have a bit of common sense. Weed can also rob you of your time, and this is one thing you can't get back. This one hits the hardest the older I get, because I look back on my Snapchat memories and there's years of things that I just can't really fucking remember because I've just smoked weed for so long. I used to wake up some days, pack a massive bong, stomp the whole thing, and then boom, I'd be out until 10 p.m. Whole day gone. Plans gone, all for 20 minutes of mediocre high until my body decided it was night. When I was younger, passing out stoned was pretty fucking goated, but now I value time more than anything. The worst looking weed can also sometimes smoke fire. The same goes the other way around, so you could have the nicest looking purple nug and it could smoke like some fucking pubes, you know what I mean? Aesthetic can help, but overall there's no way to be 100% certain until you actually torch it. Weed is also quietly one of the most expensive habits on earth. Prices have went up crazy over the last few years, particularly since COVID. Plugs started charging pack prices, and to get a decent free 5 you're looking at least 40 quid. And the worst part is there's really no limit to how much you can spend on some of this stuff. I've bought strictly top shelf in the past, and some of the money that I've spent is absolutely fucking insane, especially if it's getting shipped over. Like, it's gonna cost more money because there's a lot more initial expense involved in that product getting to you, you know? It's sort of like going out to eat and buying Wagyu instead of regular steak. It's like they're both steaks, but the idea that the Wagyu comes from Japan is pretty extraordinary, and therefore you're more inclined to spend a larger amount of money on something that you don't really need just because you feel like it's more exciting or intriguing or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. I got this jar. I mean, it's mainly for a video. I wouldn't have got this if it wasn't for a video, but this one probably cost me about like 160 quid or something to get over to the UK. Like, this was expensive, and this is just a free 5. This is just a free 5. So the last thing I want to talk about is how I eventually found balance by becoming a medical patient and switching to dry herb vaping. After years of smoking J's and doing bongs, I sort of came to the conclusion that not only do I not enjoy the consumption of cannabis because it hurts my chest and tastes like shit, but it also wasn't going to be very good for me long term. I became a medical patient, learned about dry herb vaporizers, and in no time I was getting fresh bud in the mail that I was vaporizing, and it tasted much better than sitting smoking it. And obviously I was doing a lot less damage to myself. I also much prefer the feeling of vaping cannabis. Like, it feels a lot more pure, and if you want it to, it can get you a lot more fucking high than a joint will. So yeah, those are the consequences of smoking weed for me, and that's how I learned to still benefit from it without letting it control my life. Maybe you can relate, maybe you can't, maybe you're just built different. Either way, I appreciate you for watching. Have a good day, people.